Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. On this week's episode, I'll be speaking with double child murderer Theresa Knorr. Theresa's convicted of torturing and killing two of her six children. She's been married a total of 4 times. In 1962, she married her first husband, Clifford Sanders, who was 5 years older than her. Theresa was just 16 years old when they got married. On July 16, 1963, she gave birth to her first child, Howard Clyde Sanders. On July 6, 1964, Theresa and Clifford got into a fight, and during the fight, Theresa got a hold of a rifle and shot Clifford in the back of the head. She was charged with his murder, claiming that it was self-defense and that she was a victim of domestic abuse, and she was acting in self-defense at the time of the shooting. During her trial, Theresa claimed that she had shot Clifford because he was an angry alcoholic who abused her. There were a few of Clifford's relatives that testified that he was not violent or abusive. Theresa's older sister testified that she was possessive and jealous and would kill him before any other woman could have him. She was acquitted of Clifford's murder on September 22, 1964. Theresa gave birth to her second child, Sheila Sanders, on March 16, 1965. After having her second child, Theresa began drinking heavily. She began to start drinking at the local American Legion Hall and met Estelle Lee Thornberry, a disabled United States Army veteran. After they moved in together, Theresa would constantly leave her children with Estelle while she went out drinking. He began to wonder where Theresa was going so often and found out that she was having an affair with his best friend. Theresa eventually married the man she was seeing on the side, Private Marine Robert Knorr. She had her third child, Suesan Marlene Knorr, on September 27, 1966. Theresa and Robert would go on to have 3 more children, William, Robert Jr., and Theresa Terry Marie. Their marriage began to get rocky after Theresa accused Robert of cheating on her. In December of 1970, Robert left Theresa, and the following year he was granted a divorce. After the two were divorced, Theresa didn't allow Robert to see his children at all. Theresa went on to marry 2 more times. Both marriages lasted less than a year. There's quite a bit of child abuse that has been documented in the case of Theresa Knorr. She was physically, verbally, and psychologically abusive towards her children. She would disconnect the home phone and wouldn't allow her children to have visitors. Theresa beat her children for years. Theresa would beat her children, force feed them, burn them with cigarettes, and throw knives at them. She had her children hold each other down while she beat and tortured them. Neighbors had also noticed that Theresa's children were never playing outside. There was one instance when Theresa put a gun to her younger daughter's head. She mostly focused the abuse towards Sheila and Suesan, the 2 victims in this case. In an interview, Terry said her mother resented Sheila and Suesan the most because they were maturing and become an attractive young woman, and Theresa was upset at the fact that she was getting old and losing her looks as she was aging. Theresa believed that her fourth husband turned Suesan into a witch, so Suesan received more of the abuse. One time after Suesan was beaten so bad, she ran away from home. Police picked her up and took her to a psychiatric hospital. She had told the staff there that her mother was abusing her. Once Theresa was called in, she denied that she was abusing Suesan, and Suesan had mental issues. The hospital released Suesan back into her mother's custody. Theresa punished Suesan for running away. She forced her other children to beat Suesan. During the next few weeks, she had Suesan handcuffed to the kitchen table and had her children watching over Suesan 24/7. She didn't let Suesan leave the house and made her drop out of school. She also took all her other children out of school. Most of them didn't even advance past the 8th grade. In 1982, Theresa became convinced Suesan was casting spells on her. Suesan denied being a witch, let alone casting spells, which made Theresa angry, and she shot Suesan in the back. The bullet was lodged in her back, and Theresa refused to take her to the hospital. She began to nurse Suesan back to health and had her daughters help out. Suesan recovered from her injuries that time. In July 1984, Suesan and Theresa got into an argument. Theresa got upset and stabbed Suesan in the back with a pair of scissors. She refused to let her get medical treatment again. A few weeks after the stabbing, Suesan wanted to move to Alaska and was getting ready to go. Theresa agreed she would let her go under conditions she let her remove the bullet lodged in her back so it couldn't be used as evidence if she had reported the abuse after she left. Suesan agreed with her mother. Theresa gave Suesan some liquor and Mellaril capsules as an anesthesia to knock her out. While Suesan was unconscious, Theresa had her 15-year-old son, Robert Jr., remove the bullet with an X-Acto knife. Suesan woke up the next day and was in a lot of pain. A few days later, she contracted sepsis and became delirious. Theresa tried to treat her with ibuprofen and antibiotics, but her health continued to get worse. On July 16th, 1984, Theresa packed all of Suesan's belongings in trash bags, and after binding her arms and legs, she placed duct tape over her mouth. Theresa ordered her two sons to put her in the car. They drove her to Squaw Valley, where they put her on the side of the road, on top of her belongings, and doused the belongings and lit her on fire. An autopsy determined that she was still alive when she was lit on fire. After law enforcement found her remains and processed them, there wasn't a positive identification made due to the state of the remains, and she was classified as a Jane Doe. After Suesan's death, Theresa began focusing her anger at one of her other daughters, Sheila. It's reported that Theresa forced Sheila into prostitution at the age of 15 years old to support the family. Theresa didn't work and she received money from the state of California. Theresa was happy with the fact that Sheila was out prostituting, making money for the family, and let Sheila leave the house whenever she wanted to. At one point, Theresa became so upset with Sheila and accused her of being pregnant and catching an STD from a toilet seat. Sheila denied it all, and Theresa hogtied her and beat her and locked her in a closet with no ventilation. She didn't let her other children open the closet or give her food or water while she was in there. Terry gave her a beer while she was in the closet. Sheila confessed to being pregnant and having an STD, hoping that would end the punishment from her mother. Theresa wouldn't let her out of the closet for another 3 days, claiming that she was lying. Sheila died 3 days later on June 21st, 1985 of dehydration and starvation. She left Sheila in the closet for another 3 days before she found her lifeless body. Again, Theresa ordered her sons to dispose of her daughter's body, which was starting to decompose, leaving a foul odor in the apartment. Her sons placed Sheila's body in a cardboard box and disposed of it at a nearby airport in Truckee, California. Sheila's body was found a few hours after being dumped, but was never identified and was classified as a Jane Doe. Even after dumping Sheila's body, Theresa began to get worried about the smell that lingered in her apartment from Sheila's body decomposing in the closet. She had her youngest daughter Terry burn the apartment down in an attempt to destroy all physical evidence left behind. Terry doused the apartment with 3 cans of lighter fluid and set it on fire. The fire didn't do much damage, and all the evidence was left intact. After attempting to burn the apartment down, Theresa went on the run. All of her children but Robert Jr. cut ties with her, who were all adults at that time. Robert Jr. and Theresa were residing in Las Vegas. In November 1991, Robert Jr. was arrested for killing a bartender in Las Vegas during an attempted robbery. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison. On October 28, 1993, Theresa Knorr contacted America's Most Wanted, and they put her in touch with detectives in Placer County, California, who took her serious and did a follow-up investigation. One of Theresa's sons, William, was arrested on November 4th, 1993. Robert Jr. was charged with his sister's murders while serving his 16-year prison sentence. On November 10th, 1993, Theresa was arrested. At the time of her arrest, she was working as a caretaker, taking care of her landlord's 86-year-old mother. On November 15th, 1993, Theresa was charged with 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, and 2 special circumstances charges, multiple murder and murder by torture. Theresa initially pled not guilty until she found out Robert Jr. made a deal with the prosecution in exchange for a sentence reduction. She pled guilty so long as the death penalty was off the table. On October 17th, 1995, Theresa Knorr was sentenced to 2 life terms. She'll be eligible for parole in 2027. Due to COVID restrictions, Theresa has been unable to call back, being unable to complete the interview. Here's my interview with Theresa Knorr. Let's talk about your childhood a little bit. Where were you born?
Sacramento.
What was your first positive childhood memory?
Playing with my toys and stuff, my dolls, and being with my parents. And my sister, Rosemary.
What was your first negative memory as a child?
My mother was abusive to me.
Can you talk me through any type of abuse you might have suffered as a child or any type of trauma?
She beat me with belts or a board. And it was severe.
How often would you say that would be?
It was pretty often.
what would offset the beatings and the abuse?
Oh, just anything that upset her or set her off. You know, it was hard to say what would cause her to go into a frenzy. Like if I did something wrong, you know, or one time I took $1 out of her purse and took it to school because all the kids had allowances, but I didn't. And I wanted to tell them that I had an allowance. And so then I brought it back and I put it in her purse. But she beat me severely for it.
Did you suffer any trauma as a child?
No, not really.
What's the extent of your education?
I only have a ninth grade education. I got married very young.
What was your behavior like up until you were a young adult?
I was a very good kid. I didn't get into any problems in school or anything else.
What was your love life like as a young adult?
My parents were very strange. I knew they loved me, but they didn't really show affection. The only time I had anything that way was at night when when we go to bed, my mother made us kiss her goodnight. And one night we were late kissing her goodnight, and she broke a temple over my head.
You've been married a total of 4 times, and that's astonishing to me in itself. Let's talk about your first marriage to Clifford Sanders. What was your marriage like?
He was insanely jealous and beat me all the time.
How often would he beat you?
It depended when, like if we went to a car lot and the car salesman smiled at me, I got beat for that. And anytime men looked at me, he would beat me.
So your home life at home, he was pretty abusive. You wouldn't say that you had a
Yeah.
good marriage. It was pretty rocky.
Yeah, it was very rocky.
On July 6, 1964, Clifford lost his life. What happened the day he passed away?
He said he was going to bash my brains in, and I was scared. And I picked up the gun and pointed it at him, and it just went off. I don't even remember pulling the trigger, and it hit him in the wrist. And if he screamed, I guess it really hurt. And he pulled his wrist up to his chest, and when he did, the bullet ricocheted off the bone in his wrist and lodged in his heart. He wouldn't have died if he hadn't pulled his hand up to his chest.
So after he passed away, what was the legal proceedings like for you?
They determined it was, self-defense, and I was acquitted.
After you were acquitted, what was your life like then, dating-wise? I know you became married and divorced multiple times after that. What were the marriages following that like?
Marriage following that, I married Robert Knorr, and he was also insanely jealous and abusive of me. And so it was impossible with him. He was worse than Clifford was.
Were any of your other marriages happy for you, or were they all abusive?
No, the other marriages weren't abusers, but they wasn't very good marriages at all.
So at the age of 17 in 1963, you gave birth to a baby boy, Robert Knorr. How did you feel when you had Robert?
With Robert Knorr, his father, I really didn't want to have any children, and he made me have the children.
How did you feel after you gave birth to each child?
Well, I loved the children, but I was depressed sometimes after having them.
You had quite a few children, and I bet that was stressful. How did you discipline your kids when they would act up?
I didn't discipline them for a long, long time, and when the discipline came in was when I started drinking. I should have never started drinking. I'll never drink again in my life.
Do you have any positive memories you share about the children?
How cute they were, and when they were growing up, and the things they did, they were good children.
The cases you're in prison for offer an extensive detail about the abuse your children suffered at home. Let's talk a little bit about that. Can you tell me the types of abuse that they went through and how you were feeling yourself at the time?
Actually, they didn't until Theresa Marie shot Suesan. And when she did, they talked me into removing the bullet from her. And when I did, then I had some kind of a mental breakdown, and I thought there was a demon in the body. And so I wanted to free my daughter's soul to go to heaven, so I poured gasoline on the body and set fire to it.
Before Susan's death, from what I can see, there was quite a bit of abuse that she went through. Can we talk a little bit about that?
We're not going to agree on that because what's been said hasn't been the truth, but I have to deal with it because that's what I'm in here for.
Well, we can set the record straight. What exactly did and didn't happen?
There was no abuse before that.
From what I've read on the case, you had thought that Susan was casting spells on you to gain weight. Is there any truth to that?
No. She was messing with, she was into witchcraft, yes. She was doing spells and stuff like that, but it wasn't to make me gain weight. It was other things that she did.
What types of things was she doing?
I don't know exactly, like, she plucked my eyelashes out when I was asleep, and she was saving my fingernails. When I would cut my fingernails, she was saving the fingernails, and she would do spells. They didn't work or anything like that, so I don't know what she was doing spells for. This one man got her into it. He was a newspaper reporter, and he got her involved in that. Chester Harris was his name.
What was your relationship like with Susan specifically before her death?
I love Susan, and I deeply regret her death, believe me.
Can you walk me through the events that did lead up to her death that day?
So, the only event there was that if I hadn't had the mental breakdown, I wouldn't have removed the bullet. And that's ultimately what caused the event that happened. And so, that's fine. You know, it's pretty difficult here to talk to there's people all around.
From what I understand, the day of her death, one of your sons, Terry, you had told him to shoot Susan in the stomach with a .22 caliber pistol?
No, not true. My son never shot Susan.
Was it you that had shot her, or was it another kid?
It was Theresa Marie. I didn't even know how to used the Derringer. I had a Derringer, but I never used it. But she knew how to use it. I think one of the neighbors taught her how to shoot a gun because I didn't know how, and she did.
So 2 years after the shooting, and after you nursing her back to health, another attack happened. Can you tell me exactly what happened that day? It was an attack with some scissors, I believe.
No, nothing else happened.
Did you end up nursing her back to health?
I nursed her back to health, but then she got sick, and so that was when I thought there was a demon in the body, because that's what I saw, or thought I saw.
What types of things would you do to get her back to nurse her back to health?
Clean the wound and use betadine on it, which is iodine, has iodine in it.
Did you ever consider taking her to the hospital at any point in time?
No, and that's the crazy part. If I hadn't had the mental breakdown, I definitely would have taken her to the doctor.
At one point, Suesan was packing her bags to move to Alaska. After you found out she was going to move, what was your reaction and what was the aftermath of you finding out?
She wasn't packing her bags to go to Alaska. That never happened.
Did she ever talk about wanting to leave the house?
No, she told me she wanted to go to Alaska to find a man and get married.
Were you supportive of that?
Yeah, I didn't care if that's what she wanted.
After the death of Suesan, what was life like for you and your kids?
It wasn't good because I was drinking all the damn time, and alcohol to me is like just a poison, you might say, because I don't act normal when I'm drinking at all. I was hearing voices and seeing demons.
Shortly after Suesan died, the other homicide victim in the case was your daughter, Sheila. What was your relationship like with Sheila before her death?
I loved her. She was my right-hand man. She did everything to help.
I read somewhere that she was forced into prostitution by herself. Is there any truth to that?
No. Theresa Marie was taking them out, and I heard that she had done that. But I wasn't a part of it.
Was there any abuse that Sheila endured before her death?
No, not before that. But the thing is, the truth is, Theresa Marie had a boyfriend that she worked with, and he came home and they tied her up, and Theresa Marie did it.
You're saying Theresa Marie killed Sheila?
She did. And I'll take a lie detector test on that.
Did you know that at the time of her death, or did you find this out years later?
No, at the time of her death, I was in bed asleep, and I woke up to the sound of shells falling. And I ran to the bedroom door and opened it. Right across from the bedroom door was a closet, and it was in there. Sheila was.
And you found her dead in the closet?
Yes.
How did you react when you found her in the closet?
I was horrified. And I went crazy. I thought demons were after me, and that was when I decided to leave California. I left right away.
Did you tell your children anything at the time regarding the death of both Suesan and Sheila?
No. I just wasn't
Did your children ever ask where they were? Did they wonder why they weren't with you guys?
No, they knew.
How did they take it?
Well, William had moved out. He was living with his girlfriend, and Robert never said how he felt. And I imagine he felt pretty bad.
That was my interview with Theresa Knorr. Thank you for listening.
Unforbidden.